So grab your headphones, let the journey start. With Susie's Vegas tales, she's stealing the heart. In the city of dreams, let's laugh and play. Susie's Las Vegas podcast, come join the sway.
Well, hello. We have got a show today like you wouldn't believe, and it is a really, really good show. The person that I have here is nancywolf, and she's wrote a couple books, and she's not just a beautiful blonde, she's a very smart blonde.
Well, thank you, Susie. Coming from you, that's quite the compliment.
We've been friends forever.
I know.
And I really wanted to have her on my show. And you have so many interesting things going, and something about Alzheimer's we're going to talk about.
Yes, and I'm delighted to speak about this. Yeah. I've retired some years ago and moved to Las Vegas, but my life's work was on Alzheimer's disease.
It was?
Yes.
Oh,
and
my
I
goodness.
had the great pleasure to work with my late husband at UCLA. We were there for 30 plus years, although, that's in the past now. Yeah. But just had a marvelous career there. And what I've done now in retirement is try to reinvigorate these ideas, because I'd really like to move them forward.
Well, sure. Absolutely. We need it.
We need a great idea, something that will revolutionize the treatment for Alzheimer's, because it's kind of sluggish. Yeah. That's what I would describe. Yeah. And we've had several theories of what causes Alzheimer's. Okay. And I got into it in the 1980s.
Oh, really?
And what I had done, the work I had done with my late husband, Larry Butcher, is we mapped acetylcholine pathways. And it was right about then that these researchers from Johns Hopkins and Case Western Reserve discovered that it was that part of the brain that was compromised in Alzheimer's disease. Really? Yes, so we jumped on the Alzheimer bandwagon almost immediately. Yeah. And we had expertise in acetylcholine. They call them cholinergic systems.
Okay. Explain that a little more for the lay person.
Oh, I'd be delighted. I would be delighted. Essentially, there are several neurotransmitters in the brain that act at the synapse to communicate.
Okay.
One cell talks to another cell in the brain, the neurons, by releasing neurochemicals. And acetylcholine is one that's important in consciousness, memory, and all kinds of higher cognition, thinking, reasoning, language, and so forth. So it wasn't a surprise that those systems are down in Alzheimer's disease.
Right.
What was surprising is that the drugs used to increase this neurotransmitter don't work as well as we would like.
They don't?
No. And they've been...
Why do you think that is?
Well, I know why.
Okay.
I know why.
I want to know.
Because I ran out and started doing research on what the basic mechanism of learning and memory storage in the brain was. And what I discovered in and around 1990 was that a protein inside every neuron that makes the scaffolding, if you can imagine a neuron filled with filaments, almost like a light bulb, is filled with filaments.
Okay.
And I want to get back to that analogy with the light bulb. In any case, our neurons are filled with these filaments that are made out of proteins called tubules.
Okay.
And so they're called microtubules. In other words, small, long polymers, like filaments that light up like a light bulb, actually, when we're conscious. These kinds of discoveries are just coming out now. But I discovered that protein actually breaks down. In other words, it's broken apart, and then it reassembles and stores memory. And that was so exciting.
That is exciting.
Because there are two other features of Alzheimer's disease. One is senile plaques. Senile just means old.
Right.
And plaques are what we now know are composed of amyloid. And that's a current theory of what causes Alzheimer's disease, the accumulation of amyloid plaques. But I'm going to disagree here.
Okay,
but
good.
Just give
I
me
wanna
a
know.
minute. Just
Yeah.
give me a minute.
Okay.
The other major pathology of Alzheimer's disease is something called tangles.
Tangles. It's like-
Tau tangles, in fact. Tau is the protein in the tangle. And tau is a protein that actually binds to these microtubules.
Really?
So the theories of Alzheimer's disease, the first one we had the cholinergic theory. It didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Then now scientists are pushing hard on the amyloid theory, and that's also struggling a bit because the drugs are not working as well as expected.
Right.
And they're very effective at clearing plaques. One study showed that they cleared plaques by 85%, yet not that much of an improvement in memory. And I want to get back to what we call Alzheimer's disease. Now we just call it Alzheimer's disease. When I started out as a graduate student at UCLA, it was referred to as senile dementia of the Alzheimer type. And the reason for that, Susie, is senile just means old.
Yeah.
Dementia is the disorder. And what
Okay.
dementia is a loss of memory,
Right.
loss of language skills, a loss of higher cognition. Of the Alzheimer type was tagged on because Aloysius Alzheimer, at around the turn of the 20th century, in the early 1900s, published reports on what Alzheimer brain tissue looked like post-mortem. In other words, he got a hold of Alzheimer patients after they died and looked at their brains. And he found abnormalities in the microtubules all that time ago.
On every one of them.
Yes, and
Wow.
the microtubules become the tau tangles. That's why there's some confusion.
Yeah.
So the current theories of Alzheimer's disease are either amyloid causes Alzheimer's dementia or tau tangles cause Alzheimer's dementia. But my late husband and I, we wrote a paper in 1990 suggesting, no, it's neither of those two that is the primary trigger. It's the disintegration of these filaments, these microtubules.
Okay.
And that in turn, when you have a loss of the microtubules, the tau protein has nothing to bind to, so it starts to form coils, insoluble coils that forms tau tangles. Then
That's
those
how it gets tangled up.
get all screwed up inside the cell.
Yeah.
They escape the cell, and that triggers amyloid formation. Amyloid plaque formation, in our theory, comes down the road. So it's not going to be as beneficial to dementia if that's what we're really treating in the medical community.
Right.
Dementia, not the tangles, not the amyloid plaques, but I think that's what people want a cure for.
Well, sure. Yeah, I would think so too. Anything to make you feel better and to straighten us out. Well, how is that working? I mean, has anybody?
Well, I've been advocating for clinical trials. What I really need to do is to partner with someone who wants to start a small drug company.
Yeah.
Because that's really what we need to do. And actually, I don't think it would be that much of an endeavor. I might even do it myself, but
Yeah.
I would rather partner.
With the drug company, there are certain drugs that'll make a change in what's going on in the brain and everything.
Well, interestingly,
Yeah.
we could try right now the mRNA therapies that were advanced greatly with the vaccines during COVID. Now,
Right.
you know, they're
Sure.
kind of controversial right
Yeah.
now, and I'm not going to go into that at all. But when I was looking at this, and when I wrote this book, Neuroscience, we were looking at mRNA therapy strictly as gene therapy.
Really?
And that's how it was perceived for many years before it was extrapolated from a gene therapy and tried to be reinvented as a vaccine.
Sure.
So I've always viewed the mRNA therapies as gene therapies. And that's exactly what might fix the dementia part of Alzheimer's disease. because if you can fix the microtubules,
Right.
you're not going to get the tau tangles because they're going to be there, and there's going to be a normal balance of binding and unbinding of the tau. You're not going to get the amyloid plaques because there's not going to be that extravasation of the debris outside of the cell that then in turn triggers the amyloid plaques. Amyloid plaques, by the way, are outside of the neuron.
They are.
Yes, and we believe memory occurs inside of the neuron, stored in these microtubules. And I want to tell you, Susie, something even more exciting.
Okay.
The microtubule theory of learning and memory dovetails perfectly with something called quantum mind theory. And I wrote a book about how it dovetails. Conscious matrix, our portal to God. And I get a little spiritual in it.
Sure.
Because I'm a spiritual person. But essentially, researchers from the University of Arizona in Tucson, my colleague and good friend Stuart Hameroff, and Sir Roger Penrose at Oxford, who was the mentor of Stephen Hawking.
Right.
They advanced the quantum mind theory. And in a nutshell, they speculate that along these microtubules, there are pockets that contain electrons that are free to entangle. So when we think a thought that rises up to consciousness, they're suggesting that there's entanglement, that the electron spins actually pair as we encode memory. And they actually contacted me because they were so excited about my microtubule studies in learning, in memory, because they said, yes, that makes perfect sense, Nancy. If memory is stored in microtubules, we think that's where consciousness lies.
Sure.
So, and our memories are conscious.
Yeah.
We think about them.
Yeah.
So this is very exciting because
absolutely.
Recently they are developing quantum computers. I've met, for example, at Stuart's meetings, the CEO, I believe he is, of artificial intelligence at Google and quantum computing.
Oh, that had to be amazing.
And they're suggesting that, yes, they might model some units on their quantum computers after microtubules because they have the necessary structure
to be able to do it.
To be able to store these paired electrons. It has to do with the singularity. And I know Elon Musk is talking about the singularity. So anyone interested in the scientific basis of quantum mind theory and how that might relate to our spirituality, I'm recommending. Is that okay if I plug
of course.
my book?
That's what I want you to do.
Oh, okay.
That's, we're friends. I want you to do this.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So where do we get the books at?
It's on Amazon.com.
Okay.
It's also on BarnesandNoble.com, and it's also on the publisher's site, Liberty Hill.
Okay. And what year did you write these?
I wrote it right before COVID. It came out in...
Both of them?
No, this one came out in 2009, and this one came out in 2020.
Okay. Wow. So you want to partner with somebody that has a drug company is what you're looking for.
Yeah, or has the know-how how to start a drug company, because the technology is there. The government has already spent billions of taxpayer dollars on developing mRNA therapies, whether they be vaccines or, in my opinion, the gene therapy is probably much safer and has fewer problems. And also, Alzheimer's disease is a very troublesome disorder.
Of course it is. I mean, my father died. He had Alzheimer's.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's why, I'm so concerned, when you tell me about this. But how can you get started on this? Find the drug company, or do you know what goes into the drugs and everything?
I'm writing to people all the time.
Well, good.
I've written to Albert Bourla, for example. He didn't respond. But some of my, who responds to me mostly, Susie, are my friends.
Yeah.
I guess that's just how the world works.
But you need somebody that is a peer, that wants to work with you and put this together is what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Well, how would people reach you? you know?
Well, at my email address, it's just my name, nancywolf at yahoo.com.
Okay, right there it is. Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
you know, this is quite an interesting thing. Now, what do you think about the Lou Ruvo Center? You know, with the brain.
I've written to Lou.
Have they
Ruvo.
got in touch with you or no?
Larry Ruvo's, excuse me, Lou
Yeah.
Ruvo's passed on.
Yeah.
Not yet, but
No.
that would be delightful.
Yeah, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could find a cure for this?
Yes, especially for the dementia. That's the important
yes, that's
thing.
the big thing.
I believe so, because our memories are precious
Sure
to us.
they are.
And we need to preserve our memories to have high quality life, especially in our last years.
Well, of course. Well, you know, do you know what happens from the beginning to the end with Alzheimer's? I mean, they end up, in the end, they're almost like a baby, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe we could go over that so when people are, you know, looking at this, they know if they've got somebody. Maybe people don't realize that they have a person next to them that has Alzheimer's.
Well, I want to make a disclaimer. I'm not a clinician. I'm a PhD.
I know you're not. I know.
And the clinicians, they have a very specific set of tests that they administer.
Okay.
But what I've always used in my own mind to distinguish normal forgetfulness in aging versus probable Alzheimer's disease.
That's what I want to talk about.
You never really know until the person passes on and they do an autopsy or a biopsy. But now there are some new measures, but really they only measure these markers like amyloid and tau in the bloodstream. They don't really measure the dementia.
They don't?
The test for Alzheimer type dementia.
Yes.
The tests for dementia are all neuropsychological exams, but it could be Alzheimer's disease, it could be multi-infarct dementia, it could be frontal temporal dementia.
There's a lot of different
There are a
things.
lot of different causes, biological causes of dementia, but the most common cause is aging-related brain changes that are accompanied by these plaques and tangles. But that doesn't mean that the plaques and tangles cause the dementia. I personally believe it's the destruction or the disintegration of the microtubules that comes first. And you might ask, why?
Yeah.
Why do they start? Well, something happens when the egg is first, after conception, the egg is fertilized.
Yeah.
And our cells, remember we come from two cells, the father's contribution and the mother's.
Yes.
And what becomes brain, what becomes kidney, what becomes heart, it has to do with a process called differentiation. Cells start to take on individualized characteristics, and then they become mortal at that point, because single-celled organisms can live almost indefinitely, 25,000 years or more. It's differentiation that accounts for mortality. And there's like a number of clocking mechanisms in each of the individual cells that tick off. So what goes in Alzheimer's disease? The neurons where the microtubules disintegrate, and I propose that's step number one.
Right.
What causes that is a tick, tick, tick. These microtubules have broken down and restructured, say, 1,010 times. And that's when some of the genes, because for each of these long filaments, there are at least 100 different gene products. But some are particular to neuroplasticity. That's a word we use to describe
neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity.
Okay.
The brain restructuring.
Right.
So it's my late husband and I, my late husband was excellent at that. He knew a lot about aging. He was in charge of an aging minor at UCLA.
Really?
In the undergrad department.
How did you guys meet?
in college.
Did you?
Yeah, he was my neuropharmacology professor, and I went to him and I told him I want to be a neuropharmacologist. And he's like, "Really? Nobody wants to be that." I said, "I do."
Yeah.
So yeah, he took me under his wing.
right at that point, you two got together.
We
huh?
got together. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had shared interests, shared
Yeah.
scientific interests.
Wow. How long did he work for?
Oh, he worked for UCLA 40 years. He was hired
40
there.
years.
40.
40.
He was hired in
And what was your
1969.
husband's name?
Larry Butcher.
I wish I would have had a chance to meet him.
Oh, he was a delightful man, and I
Yeah.
miss him.
I bet you do. Every day of your life, don't you? Yeah.
Well, we have fun in Las
Yeah,
Vegas, though.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do.
We have fun here, so
Yeah.
I'm not a sad person
No,
at all.
no. But it's amazing what you've accomplished in your life.
Well,
and
thank
and
you,
the things
Susie.
that you know about.
Well, I've
But
had
this would be amazing if you could get people to be able to connect.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
it might work. No, I think it will work.
I do.
I'm going to
Yeah.
be even more
Yeah.
positive than Mike.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I think it will
would
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever I can do to help you, I'd love to.
Well, thank you, Susie.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you came on. But the average person, like when we start talking about this, nobody has an answer as to, you answered it, what it is. But, when you talk to people that have it, everybody kind of skips around it, rather than saying what you just said, with everything. I mean, that.
Well, yeah, you have to understand that in science, there really is no consensus. There's kind of like a quasi-consensus
Yeah.
where everyone says, well, this theory is kind of flawed, but it's the best thing going.
Right.
And then that's popular for a long time. I've
Yeah.
noticed like decades.
Yeah.
A theory that's popular despite its flaws. I've been told the reason theories persist even though they have obvious flaws is that there's so much money invested.
In the drug companies. And,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes.
I figured that
Yes.
was the reason.
And it's like, you invested billions of dollars in building on this foundation. It takes a long time to move a ship in the other direction.
to be able to turn it around. Wow. If you could have anything you want, what would you wish for?
Oh,
In the next year, 2 years, to be
I
able
would
to
wish to
set it up?
partner up.
Yeah.
I said it
Yeah.
already. I would wish to partner up with somebody who has a reason to want to pursue a cure for Alzheimer's disease and has the know-how how to set up a business, because I'm not a businesswoman.
No. But
No.
but to be able to put it together, and then the funding and all that, and to get it approved in the FDA and everything involved in it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But there are creative
Yeah, of
approaches.
course there are.
I've met a lot of people, and there are creative approaches. I think it's just a matter of someone who desires.
Yeah, with where you make the right connection and then it works.
Yes. So hopefully this,
I
this
hope
will
so.
help me reach out.
Well,
reach
as
out,
you're talking to people,
reaching out
the
to
way
the
you
right
explained it,
people.
what I would do is I would send the links of our show to all the people that you want to talk to. That way people know you're serious, especially companies. I mean, to me, that's a big deal because you've really answered a lot of questions today. I mean, this is wonderful.
Well, thank you.
I had no idea, what you really were involved in with this. I mean, this is just amazing, and it's something that's needed. Tremendous.
Thank you,
But wouldn't it be
Susie.
wonderful if you got that, and to be able to do that here in Las Vegas?
Oh, that would be wonderful.
That would be the big
I do
deal.
know a lot of people with similar interests as mine. And one thing I heard at a large fundraiser was, wouldn't it be nice to make Nevada a
Yes. Heavens, yes.
biomedical hub?
Yes.
In addition, we have the beautiful entertainment
Right.
world. Now we have a lot of sports, but something substantive and health related
Well, yeah.
would just be ideal.
And look at the seniors that we have here. I
know.
mean, my God, how could we help them? I mean, it would be wonderful. You and I are still young. We're not going to tell you our age.
That's right, Susie.
Well,
We're going to keep some secrets.
That's right. We don't need to tell everything, do we now?
No.
But I hope you'll come back on. And again, one more time, if people want to get a hold of you, your email is?
nancywolf, and it's spelled WOOLF at yahoo.com.
Okay. Well, you heard it here. Now, like, subscribe, and share. Get a hold of Nancy, because without a doubt, this is cutting edge, what we're talking about. It
Well,
really
thank
is.
you. Thank you,
And Las
Susie.
Vegas is the perfect place to do this.
Yes, I
And
think so.
especially, you know, I love talking about how can we make senior lives better? How can we change things? I mean, I'm really into it 100%. Absolutely. And I'm
Fantastic.
so glad you came on the show.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you for being my guest. Nancy Wolf, that's our show for today. Like, subscribe, and share. Susie's Las Vegas out. Bye.
So grab your headphones, let the journey start. With Susie's Vegas tales, she's stealing the heart. In the city of dreams, let's laugh and play. Susie's Las Vegas podcast, come join the sway.